You wake up, check your phone, maybe drink some coffee. You sit down to work, but 20 minutes in, your mind is already somewhere else. You jump between tabs, you scroll through nothing. You promise yourself you'll get serious soon. But deep down, you know you're lying. You're not tired, you're not busy, you're not even lazy. You're distracted because you're addicted to avoiding the one thing that actually demands your full presence. And here's the brutal truth. You don't have a focus problem. You have a problem with facing yourself. Epictetus warned about this centuries ago, not with dopamine charts or productivity hacks, but with something far more dangerous: clarity. So in this video, I'm going to show you why you can't focus. But more importantly, the one thing you need to stop doing right now if you ever want your mind back, because it's not your phone, it's not the world. It's a silent decision you've made so often you don't even notice it anymore. And the moment you become aware of it is the moment everything can change. Let's begin with the real reason your mind keeps running from you. You think your mind is scattered because you lack discipline, because you're lazy, because your life is chaotic. That's the lie. Your mind is scattered for one simple reason. It learned that being fully present hurts. When you're fully present, you start hearing the voices you've been silencing. You feel the tension you've been avoiding. You remember the decisions you've postponed for weeks, months, maybe years. And your nervous system learned this: it's easier to run than to sit with what you're actually carrying. So your brain adapted. It created escape hatches, little portals to micro-pleasure. A quick check of your messages, a scroll through social media, a new tab, a snack, a playlist, a podcast, anything but this moment. The modern world didn't invent distraction, it just amplified it. It gave your mind infinite places to hide from the one place it fears most, right here. That's the hidden trap. Distraction isn't random. It's strategic. It's how your ego protects you from pain by offering pleasure. But here's the cost. Every time you reach for a screen instead of facing your silence, every time you fill the quiet with noise, every time you avoid a hard decision with a harmless scroll, you send your brain one message: I'd rather be numb than awake. And the more you do it, the more automatic it becomes. Distraction becomes default. Presence becomes foreign. Eventually, you wake up one day and realize something terrifying. You don't know how to be alone with your own thoughts anymore. You don't trust your inner voice. You don't feel grounded. You've become a stranger inside your own mind, and it's not because you're broken. It's because you never learned how to sit with discomfort long enough to turn it into clarity. This is where Epictetus comes in. He didn't care about your mood. He didn't care if it was hard. He said, if it's not in your control, drop it. If it is, master it. Distraction is not in the world. It's in your relationship to your own discomfort. And until you confront that, no focus method, no productivity app, no journal hack will save you. This isn't about technique, it's about nerve. The nerve to look at your life and say, I refuse to run from myself today. So here's your first challenge. Today, sit with silence for 10 minutes. No phone, no background noise, just you and your thoughts. Notice the panic. Notice the urge to run. Don't judge it, just witness it, because that discomfort is not your enemy. That discomfort is your map. And in the next chapter, we'll talk about the one habit that keeps feeding this cycle, and how to break it with brutal clarity. Epictetus didn't own anything. He was born a slave, lived in poverty, walked with a limp. But he had something most men today don't: command over his mind. He understood something that modern society keeps missing. Distraction isn't a flaw, it's a habit. And worse, it's a habit that becomes a lifestyle. He taught that you are disturbed not by events, but by your judgment of them. And here's what that means today. You don't get distracted by notifications. You get distracted by your fear of being irrelevant. You don't escape into social media because it's interesting. You escape because it gives you a momentary sense of identity. You're not checking your phone out of boredom. You're checking it because silence confronts you with the fact that your life might not be aligned. That's the kind of clarity Epictetus offered. Not soft comfort, but sharp awareness. He wasn't trying to make you feel better. He was trying to make you see, and what he wanted you to see is this. You're not losing focus. You're giving it away. You give it away when you avoid the hard truth. You give it away when you chase validation. You give it away when you choose short-term ease over long-term respect for yourself. Here's what most men don't realize. Distraction is not just mental, it's emotional. Every time you avoid a task that matters, you're not just being inefficient. You're betraying your internal compass, and that betrayal has a cost. Your confidence drops, your anxiety rises, your sense of clarity erodes. And the worst part? You start believing this is just who you are. But it's not. It's who you've trained yourself to be. And the same way you trained yourself to escape, you can retrain yourself to return. That's the heart of Stoicism, voluntary discomfort to rebuild inner strength. Epictetus told his students to practice discomfort, not because pain is noble, but because clarity is forged through tension. You don't build a focused mind by avoiding pressure. You build it by walking into pressure and remaining unshaken. So, let's get brutally honest. You can't focus because you're doing one thing over and over that destroys your attention. And that one thing is this. You avoid discomfort with micro-pleasures. You reach for easy stimulation every time life offers a hard choice. You flood your brain with novelty every time your spirit whispers that something deeper needs your attention. You numb with information when you should be sharpening your decision, and your mind learns. It learns that stimulation, safety, and presence threat. So now, focus feels impossible because your brain is defending you from reality. But that can change, and it doesn't start with effort. It starts with a refusal to keep feeding the habit that's stealing your clarity. So here's your second challenge. Catch yourself in the act. The next time you feel that impulse to reach for something, phone, tab, snack, escape, pause. Ask yourself, what am I trying to avoid right now? And instead of escaping, go toward it, even for 5 minutes. That's how presence is rebuilt. Not in grand gestures, but in small moments of inner confrontation, Because every time you face the thing you usually flee, you send your brain a new signal. I'm not afraid of myself anymore. That's when focus stops being something you chase and starts becoming who you are. But to reclaim that version of yourself, you'll need to break something first. Not your routine, not your tools, but a quiet, invisible addiction that's been running the show. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It shows up when you're alone. It tells you, just one more check. Just a little relief. Just for a second. And that second is costing you everything. Let's bring it into the light. You think it's harmless? A quick glance? A quick check, a quick hit of something new, but what if I told you this quick habit is actually the slowest form of self-destruction? Here's the habit. Constant checking. You check your phone. You check your email. You check your stats, your feeds, your notifications, your messages, not because there's something urgent, but because it distracts you from something honest. That microsecond of relief is costing you macro-level control. Here's what's really happening. Every time you check, you escape. Every time you check, you reset your focus back to zero. Every time you check, you reinforce the belief that your attention belongs to the outside world, and it doesn't. It belongs to you, but you've outsourced it. You've trained your mind to look outward for stimulation instead of inward for direction. And over time, this checking becomes compulsive, automatic. It's no longer a decision, it's a reflex. That's the real danger. Not that you're distracted, but that you become unconscious. Epictetus would call that slavery. Not to chains, but to compulsion, to dependency, to your own fear of stillness. Because here's the truth you've been avoiding. Stillness makes you confront the fact that you don't trust your own direction. And instead of rebuilding that trust, you reach for validation. You don't feel capable, so you check if someone noticed you. You don't feel certain, so you check if someone approved of you. You don't feel grounded, so you check if the world is still watching. And that's the loop. Check, escape, reset, repeat, until your focus is no longer a tool. It's a memory. But it doesn't have to stay that way, because here's the truth. Epictetus would remind you of anything you've trained yourself to do, you can untrain. So, what's the move? How do you stop this one thing? You break the cycle at the source, not with a productivity app, not with screen time limits, but with inner command. You create a protocol, a ritual, a code. Here's a simple one to start. The no-check challenge. 3 hours a day. No checking, no inbox, no social media, no metrics, no notifications, no tabs unless tied to a single intention. Just one focus, one commitment, one direction. And every time your hand moves on its own, every time your mind screams for a hit, every time the reflex tries to trick you, you breathe. You come back and you say, I'm not here to escape, I'm here to execute, because this is what most men never realize. The cost of checking isn't time, it's power. And every time you say no to that reflex, you're not just practicing discipline, you're recovering your command, not over the world, but over yourself. And once you have that, there's not much this world can take from you. Focus is not something you chase, it's something you become, moment by moment, choice by choice, ritual by ritual. Modern life wants you scattered. It wants your mind divided, your emotions hijacked, your priorities blurred. Because a scattered man is easy to control, but a focused man, he's dangerous. Not to others, to the systems that rely on his weakness. So here's the question: how do you build focus not as a tactic, but as an identity? How do you train your nervous system to stay present, calm, sharp, even when the world screams for your attention? The answer is not in apps, hacks, or morning routines. It's in ritual. A ritual is not just a habit. It's a declaration, a moment you reclaim your power no matter what the world is doing. So here's the ritual I want you to start with. Simple, brutal, clear, the Stoic focus ritual. Every morning step. Name your battle before the world invades your mind. Sit down with one question. What is the one thing I must face today that I've been avoiding? Write it down, speak it out loud, name the weight, bring it to the surface, don't let it hide. Step 2, block the escape, turn off the noise, airplane mode, logged out. No tabs, no notifications. This isn't digital detox. This is you. Saying, I'm not here to be available, I'm here to be aligned. Step 3, step into discomfort. Before you do anything easy, do one hard thing. Make the call. Write the paragraph. Record the voice note. Act before your brain has a chance to bargain. Move before comfort starts negotiating. Step 4, close with command. At the end of that first deep work session, ask yourself, did I face or did I flee? If you faced it, even clumsily, you won. If you fled, no shame. But name it and reset. That's how warriors think, because this is what Epictetus knew. Freedom isn't granted, it's chosen. It's not given by society, it's claimed by action, and action starts with the mind. You don't need to change your life overnight. You need to win the first hour. You need to win the first decision. You need to win yourself. One moment at a time. And here's the paradox. The more you honor this ritual, the less you'll need to force focus. It will become who you are, not reactive, but rooted, not scattered, but still, not desperate, but dangerous. Because the man who commands his focus is the man who commands his future. Most men drift, not because they're weak, but because they've forgotten what it feels like to move with direction. They wake up reacting. They move from alert to alert, from one small escape to the next, from noise to numbness. And somewhere in between, they lose the signal, the one thing that made them dangerous, their inner command. But here's what no algorithm will tell you. You don't find your power in more stimulation. You find it in stillness. Not passive stillness, not apathy, but the kind of stillness that stands in the fire and doesn't flinch. The kind that sees chaos and chooses clarity. The kind Epictetus lived. He didn't need wealth, he didn't need comfort, he didn't need approval, because he had something stronger. A disciplined mind and an unshakable standard. And now, it's your turn. You've seen what's been costing your focus. You've named the cycle, you've felt the weight, and you've stepped toward the discomfort that most men run from. That's not small. That's the beginning of command. But now comes the test, because the world doesn't care about your intention. It only responds to repetition. You'll be tempted to forget all of this, to go back to the comfort loop, to tell yourself it's just one scroll, one check, one break. But you'll know the truth now, and the truth will sit quietly in the back of your mind, whispering, that small decision is shaping your future. So you'll face a choice: live like most men, scanning, escaping, reacting, or lead like few do, focused, grounded, deliberate. And here's the beauty: no one needs to see the change. It doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't have to be shared, because this kind of power grows in silence, one decision at a time. One distraction denied, one morning owned, one moment remembered, until one day you walk into a room differently. You speak slower, you listen deeper, you execute faster, and people won't know what changed. But you will. You'll know it started when you stopped chasing focus and started reclaiming your mind. That's the mission. That's the standard. That's the man you came here to be. Now, if this spoke to something real inside you, something tired of drifting and ready for more, hit like so YouTube knows men like us still exist. And if you want more clarity, more tools, more of this presence, subscribe. This is not content. This is your mirror. Not to entertain you, but to remind you of who you are. You don't need more motivation. You need fewer distractions. And I'll help you cut through every single one. Honor your attention. Train your presence. Command your mind. And the world won't need to notice. It will simply respond.